The chair recognizes the gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding today's hearing. Let me begin by stating that, like all of you, I am concerned about climate change, and I believe that we must develop a comprehensive plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and invest in alternative and renewable fuels like wind and solar, cellulosic ethanol, biodiesel, biofuels, as well as nuclear power and clean coal. As the leader of the free world, I also believe that we must lead by example. However, we must embrace a common-sense approach to imposing regulations that will help to improve our environment while still maintaining jobs and strengthening our nation's economy here at home in America. In order to do this, we must ensure that we do not allow our laws to get ahead of our technology, but that when the appropriate technology becomes available, we demand that industry use it. In addition, I think we must be very careful in enacting climate legislation to ensure that we do not enact a policy that will simply result in shipping our jobs and carbon dioxide emissions overseas, which would do nothing for planet Earth. I recognize that few things get done without U.S. leadership and action, but our action must include compelling other countries to join us. The reality is that between now and 2040, 97% of all new carbon emissions will not be produced in North America or Europe, but from places like China, India, and the Middle East. We must do all we can to ensure that the rest of the world works with us towards the goal of improving our environment and reducing carbon dioxide emissions. We're not trying to fix a problem in the United States of America. We're trying to address a problem that affects the entire planet. I believe that the draft we will be discussing this week is a significant step in the right direction, or maybe a better word would be to say correct direction. For example, I was pleased to see that the draft addresses and embraces carbon capture and sequestration. In my own state of Arkansas, there are massive deposits of lignite coal, over 9 billion tons to be exact. However, there must be a serious investment in carbon capture and other new carbon technologies in order for lignite to realize its full potential. The bottom line is that, if you didn't like $4 gasoline last summer, you're really not going to like your electric bill sometime between now and 2030. We're going to have an electricity crisis in this country, and I say we should do it all. We need to do more nuclear. We need to continue to find ways to clean coal up. We need to do all those things that are in the science lab today. We need to find ways to move them to the marketplace. A few of them to me sound a little goofy, but if we can make them work, we should embrace them. And the sooner we can do that, the fewer dollars we'll be sending overseas, and the more of those dollars we can keep at home, make our energy here at home, and put people back to work. While I believe that the draft is a good first step, there are a number of concerns I have. I am deeply concerned that the more traditional renewable resources, wind, solar, geothermal, do not exist in places like Arkansas in sufficient amounts to satisfy a federal renewable electricity mandate, especially an aggressive one. This draft needs to expand its definition to include biomass in a much larger degree than what it does today. I represent a very rural and poor district. As a result, any increase in electric rates due to a renewable electricity standard will fall disproportionately on consumers in my district, and I want to ensure that this does not happen. I hope to work with the chairman to ensure this legislation will not create a burden of much higher electricity bills for consumers and businesses, and to ensure that all of our available natural resources like biomass are included to the fullest extent possible in that definition. I also believe that our nation's farmers and agriculture community can play an important role in the fight against climate change by growing our fuels and storing carbon in their fields. I am hopeful that we can work to make that possible in this legislation. I also believe that we must ensure that energy-intensive industries like the refining industry are still able to supply our nation as we transition to more renewable forms of energy. This U.S. industry must remain viable, and I hope to work with the committee to ensure that. Finally, I believe that the draft provides a strong framework to protect natural resources, but I want to ensure There is significant funding to protect our nation's wildlife and natural resources, as well as the low-income consumers who could be disproportionately affected by this legislation. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I realize I'm out of time, and I thank you for the opportunity.
We thank the gentleman very much.